Scientists just reversed aging in mice, and the first human trials start at the end of this year. Not slowing down aging, not managing symptoms, actual reversal at the cellular level. The kind that means your mom might remember your name again. The kind that means your knees stop aching on stairs you used to take two at a time. And the weird part is not the science. It is that the system around it is set up to make sure this takes as long as possible to reach you. Let me explain. You are 45. Your parent is losing their memory. Your knees hurt on stairs. You catch yourself forgetting names you have known your whole life. That mirror? It stopped being your friend about a decade ago. Now imagine someone hands you something that could wind back your biology, not your appearance, your actual cellular age. That is not science fiction anymore. Life Biosciences is preparing a therapy based on partial epigenetic reprogramming, and it is expected to enter human clinical trials in early 2026. This is the first time in history we are not talking about slowing the clock. We are talking about turning it backwards. Your cells are basically old smartphones, decades of use, corrupted data, sluggish performance. Partial reprogramming, using Yamanaka factors, specifically OCT4, SOX2, KLF4, and C-MyC, essentially wipes the software back to its original state. Epigenetic clocks reset, inflammatory signaling drops, mitochondria start working properly again. The breakthrough moment was 2022 at the Salk Institute. They applied partial reprogramming to old mice, and these animals did not just live a bit longer. Their tissues looked young again. Inflammation went down. Their biological signatures had been rewound. Not improved, rewound. That is what pushed this toward human trials. Here's something most people don't know. As you age, some of your cells just stop. They don't divide anymore, but they also refuse to die. They just sit there leaking inflammatory signals, damaging everything around them. Scientists call them senescent cells. I call them freeloaders. Senolytic drugs are designed to take these cells out selectively without touching healthy ones. The combinations being tested include dasatinib plus quercetin, ficitin, and targeted BCL-XL inhibitors. In early clinical trials, patients with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis showed measurable improvements in physical function. Unity Biotechnology is already running trials on UBX1325 for diabetic eye disease, going after the senescent cells that pile up in aging retinas. Every cell in your body runs on NAD+. Problem is, by the time you hit your 50s, your NAD+ levels are roughly half of what they were in your 20s. You're running a sports car on fumes. Chiba University ran the first clinical trial using nicotinamide riboside, an NAD+ precursor, in patients with Werner syndrome, which is basically accelerated aging. The results: safely boosted NAD+ levels, improved cardiovascular markers, better wound healing, and protected kidney function. It's essentially a preview of what NAD+ restoration could do for normal aging. Now here's where it gets interesting, and I want to be honest with you. A comprehensive review of the current research found that while biological activity is clear, clinical proof of anti-aging effects in humans is still inconclusive. The NAD+ supplement market is already worth billions, but the hype has gotten way ahead of the evidence. That's just the reality. And here's the structural problem that nobody talks about. The FDA does not recognize aging as a disease. You cannot run a clinical trial for making people younger. So every single one of these therapies has to be tested against a specific condition: pulmonary fibrosis, diabetic kidney disease, arthritis, or Werner syndrome. Now, is that because regulators are protecting patients? Yes, partly. Running broad anti-aging trials on healthy people raises real ethical questions. Unknown long-term risks, the possibility of triggering cancer through cellular reprogramming, and dosing issues. But there is also a structural incentive problem that is hard to ignore. The global longevity market was around $19 billion in 2025 and is projected to hit roughly $58 billion by 2035. That sounds like an industry embracing the future, right? Look closer. Those projections assume gradual market expansion, not breakthrough adoption. The growth models are built around chronic management, not cures. Pharmaceutical companies have spent decades building revenue streams around managing age-related diseases, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and arthritis. A genuine aging reversal therapy does not just compete with those drugs, it eliminates the customer base entirely. I am not saying there is a shadowy cabal suppressing the research. I am saying the incentive structures are working exactly as designed, slowly, cautiously, and profitably. The insurance side is even messier. Actuarial models, the math that determines your premiums, are built on predictable aging curves. If people routinely live healthy lives to 120, every pension fund, every life insurance policy, every retirement projection breaks. The entire financial system assumes you will decline on schedule. A few things are already accessible, and I want to be specific. Metformin, originally a diabetes drug, is being studied in the TAME trial specifically for aging. It is cheap, well understood, and many doctors already prescribe it off-label for longevity. It is worth a conversation with your physician if you are over 40. NAD+ precursors like nicotinamide riboside and NMN are available as supplements. The clinical data is early but promising, particularly for cardiovascular and cellular energy markers. Do not expect miracles, but the risk profile is low. Quercetin and fisetin, both available over the counter, are the senolytic compounds showing up in the research. Again, early stage, not magic bullets, but backed by real data. On the lifestyle side, the evidence is actually quite strong. Intermittent fasting activates many of the same cellular repair pathways these drugs target. Resistance training maintains muscle mass and mitochondrial function. These are not hacks. They are the closest things we have to proven interventions right now. We are genuinely closer to reversing biological aging than at any point in human history. The science is real, but the system that decides when you get access to it, regulators, insurers, and pharmaceutical companies, was not designed for breakthroughs. It was designed for incremental improvement. That does not mean it is a conspiracy. It means the default path is slow, and if you want to be ahead of it, you need to be informed. So here's what I suggest. First, pick one thing from the actionable list I just gave you and look into it this week, even if it is just searching online for the TAME trial or asking your doctor about metformin. Second, if you want to track your own biological age, companies like True Diagnostics and Elysium offer epigenetic testing. That gives you a real baseline to work from. And third, tell me in the comments which of these three pillars, reprogramming, Senolytics, or NAD+ restoration, do you think will hit mainstream medicine first? I am genuinely curious where you think the first real breakthrough lands. I will be covering the cognitive enhancement trials happening in labs in 2026 next. So subscribe if you want to stay on this. See you in that one.